Hey y'all, this is Amanda with Seven Sparrows Farm, and today we're talking about our on-the-go first aid kit. I've been a nurse for 20 years, and I was struggling to find a first aid kit for our family that was more than just Band-Aids in a box, but less than some trauma bag they want to sell you online. We're going to open this up and show you guys what I've put together, and just so you know, there's a link in the description where you can find all of this stuff so that you don't have to spend time cobbling it together. So when I was looking for a first aid kit for our family, the ones that I found commercially prepackaged and available were little more than just Band-Aids in a box. I wanted something that was a little bit more, but not some medic bag that you can also find online. So this is kind of an in-between. We specifically keep this in the back of our van. I have it Velcroed to a little thing back there, so we can have it with us if there's any issue while we're out and about. So you can build your first aid kit in pretty much anything, from a Rubbermaid tote to a tackle box, which is what I chose to use. I like this one because it's got stuff I can easily access on the top. It's also got a tray that I can remove, and it's got enough space for all the doodads that I wanted to keep. When you first come upon an injury situation, the thing that you need to be thinking about first is you. You need to keep yourself safe. So one of the first things I have in my first aid kit is some hand sanitizer to make sure that I get clean, and then some gloves to put on, and a mask, just in case. The rest of the stuff that's in here is for the injured party. And if you haven't seen our assessment video, check that out in one of these links, wherever it appears. That tells you that the first thing you're gonna scan for when you see an injury situation is DOTS. And that stands for deformity, open wound, tenderness, or swelling. Everything in my box is meant to deal with those specifically. I'm not looking at long-term care here. This is just for the initial right now situation. Now, my box is set up not particularly in any logical order, it's just where stuff happened to fit. So I'm just gonna go through and kind of talk you through the things that I have in there. So when I talk about deformity, we're thinking about things like a fracture or a dislocation. So I have one of these triangular bandages so I can put a sling on somebody, or I can wrap it and put a splint on somebody if need be. I also have some roll gauze and some, we call this Coban in the hospital, but it's this self-adherent stretchy stuff to wrap something up. The next thing would be open wounds. Okay, that could be something as simple as a cut that just requires a little Band-Aid, and I've got plenty of those in different sizes. Or it could be something bigger that requires something like a very absorbent pad that you have to hold pressure on. So I've got several of those little things. I've also got some gauze pads just in case we have something small that requires pressure. Also with open wounds, you want to make sure that they're clean in addition to stopping bleeding. So I have things like alcohol pads. If we need to clean something around a wound, you wouldn't put this in a wound. And I also have this wound wash, because if you're out and about, you're not going to have a sink to rinse something out. The nice thing about this is it stays sterile, it stays clean. You know you've got a clean water source to clean out a wound. If I do have an open wound, one of the things I want to do is close it or secure it as fast as I can. So I've got little things like steri strips in there, which can help tape a wound closed. I've also got the New Skin paintable dressing. And if it's a dirty wound, I want to put something on it to help keep the yuck out. So I've got triple antibiotic ointment, and I've also got tea tree oil. Okay, I don't particularly love this. I like to get away with this when I can, but it's good to have both. The other thing you might have to deal with when you're dealing with an injury situation is bleeding. If holding pressure isn't enough, you might have to deal with something else. I have found helichrysum oil to be very effective. Anything from nosebleeds to, well, just bleeding wounds. This can help start the clotting cascade and help you stop bleeding very quickly. If there were a worse situation, there's also commercial products out there called Bleed Stop or Blood Stop. I have one here that's a hospital grade. It's called Surgisil, and they're just clotting medium. You put these directly in the wound, okay? So I've got that just in case. So that's deformity and open wounds. There's also tenderness and swelling, like think strains and sprains and bumps and bruises. Okay, so in addition to all this stuff, I also have an ace bandage and an ice pack. This is one of those instant ice packs that you pop and it'll get cold very quickly. It's much easier to keep inflammation down than it is to deal with it once it's there. So I like to have those on hand and get them on a strain, sprain, bump, or bruise very quickly. Additionally, whoops, I left that open. I have Tylenol and ibuprofen. Please note that these are not child-safe containers, so I keep this in a place where kids are not going to get a hold of it. Just saying. And then I've got other odds and ends. Tape to secure any gauze, Q-tips for applying my triple antibiotic ointment, tweezers in case there's anything that needs to be pulled out of a wound or any splinters. Also, the other injury that I hope you don't ever have to deal with is an eye injury. So I have one of these little eye cups and a soft gauze eye patch to keep something covered if there were ever an issue. The other thing I like about this wound wash spray is it is saline. It's not going to sting someone's eye, and it is sterile, so it's not going to infect someone's eye. So if you had to spray it in an eye to clean that out, you can do that. This is not meant to diagnose, prescribe, or treat, but this is the stuff that I like to have on hand. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. There's no way to have everything, but I feel like this is a good balance of somewhere between a Band-Aid and a trauma kit to have on hand if something were to go wrong. Please like and subscribe, check out the links below, and we'll see you guys on the next one.